Hello student, welcome to history class by Mamta Shetty. In the first two part, we have already completed the sources of history, the main three sources. Yes? Now today we are going for the last topic, that is evaluating the sources of history. So let me just give you a brush up of what we have done. We have done the sources of history, the different three main sources, that is material source, written source, and then the oral sources. Yes. So now how do we come to know, how do we evaluate whether this source of history is authentic or genuine, right? So now we are going for the next topic. Now see, it's necessary to take certain precaution before you use these sources of history, right? We have to examine their authenticity, whether real they are, whether they are genuine or not, whether they are fake. Sometimes they just say it, but it's not that way, right? And the quality we have to determine with the internal standards. We have to see whether the writer who is giving his integrity, personal interest, and the period at what this history is collector, material source, written source, oral source, the political pressure is there or not, right? So it is very important whether this history is on hearsay, it is, means we have heard from someone or some eyewitness is there or what, right? So we should avoid this all thing. We should search for the genuineness, whether the history is written with the more metaphors, exaggeration, literary, whether it is really occurred. Overly, what is the meaning of exaggeration? Overly representative. Metaphor is a figure of speech, right? Literary means written, poetic or dramatic. Whether all these sources of history are genuine or not, we have to verify. And how do we are going to verify? With the help of other contemporary. This information should not be one-sided. Is there any contrary? Is some exaggerator? We should see the proper perspective of everything. And these sources, they should be critically analyzed. The author who writes, he should be impartial, he should be neutral. Very, very important while writing the history, right? He should give proper justification. He should not be partial to anyone, right? And here we complete the first, that is sources of history. So this is the first chapter we have complete. Now we are going for the exercise. Now exercise related to textbook we'll see. I think that will be the better. Complete the names of the following sources of history. They have given in the fill in the blanks, blank type, right? And now we have to fill it up. Now you can see the first letter is given, the last letter is given, the middle letter we have to fill up. So the first one is legend. Second one, it's T and H. The middle one is Tariq. You have to complete this in your notebook, history notebook. Then see, B and R is given. So now we have to see how many these lines are there. That is Bakar. P and A is given. So it is Povada. Yes, Povada it is. Now I and the middle letters are also given. I and middle there is a dash. So I think so this may be inscription. Yes. And the last one now, M-U-T, in the middle there is a gap, so that's a monument. If I am not wrong, let's say yes. The next topic we are next is here, let's write. They are asked question and we have to write the answer. What do monuments include? So what do monuments include? So we have to write the answer to. Monuments include samadhi, graves, virgalas and buildings. This is answer in one sentence. What is Tariq? The next one. The next question is asked, what is Tariq? So you search the answer from the textbook. A Tariq or a Tawarik is a sequence of events. Question number 3. What qualities of the author are important in writing of history? So the author, how the author should be? He should be impartial and neutral, right? So author's impartiality and neutrality are important in the writing of history. After this, we are going to go for the next question, that is question number 3, find the odd man out. So the question is material source, written source, unwritten source and oral source. Now we know this. Material source, written source, oral source are the main sources, right? So which is the odd one? Unwritten source. Next question. Monuments, coins, cave sculptures and stories. See, monuments, coins, cave, they come under one source and the stories is in the different source, right? See now, oral source. Next one, Bhujapatras, temples, then treaties and paintings. Now in this, which is the, you can see these are all the writing by, and temples is the different. Ovis, tarikhs, folk tales, myths. See now, in this, which one is in a written source and the other one is a oral source. So now we will find that tarikh. Right? Now explain the question number 4, explain the following concepts. Material source. Now these are the brief answers. You have to write this everything. Material source are the artifacts and structures. Forts have an important place among the material source. Monuments and the building provide insight about the period. The coins made by the different rulers are also important material source. Now you have to write this everything. Chaityas, vihars, temple, churches, mosques, agyaris, dargahs, maqbaras, gurudwaras. You write according to the point wise. Monuments, sculpture, wells, minarets, everything. Yes, this all comes under the material source. You make a point. First, what is material source, then the different examples. So you have to write, if this question is for 2 marks, you have to write these all points. It's very important. Now the next question we go for it's written source. In the same way, you search the answer, mark it up in your textbook, and then you complete the answers. It will be better. You will be in a better position to understand also. Yes. Now we are going for the next, that is written source. Same way here also 2 marks question, the full paragraph is given. Written source include Bhujapatras, religious manuscript, treatises, edicts, decrees and biographies written in Devanagari, Arabic, Persian and Modi script. Documents of the proceedings in the court of the king, the judicial verdicts or order, geologists and Sankavali's correspondence and chronicles like Tawarikh and Bakkar are also written source. This written work give information about the social life, festivals, convection and rule of conduct, economy, political policies, administration and interstate relations. You write this answer according to the point wise. It will be very easy for you to remember also. The points can go up and down. So you try, instead of learning it up, you just understand this. Yes, the third question is oral source. Now oral source means the folk literature traditionally passed on from generation to generation. That's a definition. Now examples, ovis, povadas, folk songs, folk tales, legends, then myths, gathas, slokas, abhangas, proverbs are also called oral source of history. Now some are done after writing a research. This convection work continuously and new information comes to light is added to it, right? So new things are coming, new things are heard, and that time this information is added to the old one. Now we go for the next question. Question number 5. Is it necessary to evaluate sources of history? Give your opinion. This is a personal response question. But still the answer is given. See, there is so many points. You can see here. Yes, so many points are there. In my opinion, it is necessary to evaluate the sources of history. The reasons are, they are genuine sources or fake or what. That authenticity should be determined. Then we have to determine the author's integrity, impartiality, neutrality, his personal interest, which period he is writing about. The political pressure is there or what. And the author is saying whether the history that is from the hearsay or what, or there is some eyewitness or exaggerated or what. He is writing metaphor, expanding like a metaphor. Some literary device is using which may mislead. This information should not be one-sided, contradictory. We should have a proper perspective and critically you have to evaluate each and every history. So there is 5 points. You should at least know 4 points out of it. Just you can write in your answer in your own word. It's not that I want line to line like this. This is an example form of answer. Right? Next we are going write why in your word. That you can also say it's a form like a give reason. A stone inscription is considered to be an authentic source of history. Why it is said that stone inscription is? Why? See, there is a reason. If you open your textbook, you will find this answer in a page number 2nd. That is, the stone inscription is considered to be an authentic source of history. The spelling is wrong. An inscription is carving on a stone or a wall. A stone inscription gives detail about the language, script and social life of that period. Inscription was found where? In Brihadeshwar temple in Tanjavur, and that too, which was, to whom did it belong? Chalukya, Rashtrakuta, Chola, Yadu king. These are the kings in last year's history it was, right? Next question. Oral source reveal various aspects of people's life. From oral source, what do we come to know? Yes, now see, you have getting this everything. I'll just pause it up. Oral source reveal various aspects of people's life because folk literature is mainly passed on from generation to generation. This is the definition of oral source. It narrates their life, belief and economic condition. Ovis and Abhangas reveal their religious belief. Folk tales are about the mythological heroes whom the common people admire. So here we end the first chapter. So complete this exercise, keep reading the textbook, try to get more information about these sources. Thank you.